How's it going, everyone? It's Gankun, and today we'll be doing this quick deck profile for a Tiga Blazer deck. For some context, this is a deck I've been playing at the past two Galaxy Cups. We had both a win for Rosso and Blue, and not only has this deck been performing very well, but it's actually been a lot of fun to play for the latter half of BP2. In the first couple Galaxy Cups, I was playing maybe Sikari, really strong deck, very consistent, and can definitely give most decks a hard time, but at some point I wanted to try something different, and this is a deck that I came to for having a lot of fun but being just as competitive. So, for some quick context, how I got to this deck, and I even think of it in some ways as an anti Mebius Sikari deck, was when practicing for BB2, I'd find that of Mebius Sikari decks, or playing a Mebius Sikari deck, one deck that would give me a hard time was playing against a Mebius Tiga deck. Tiga deck or Tigas had a really strong 18k, which would push really hard for lead and give a lot of my lanes a hard time. Um, However, when playing a Mebius Tiga deck, you'll probably find that it does trade off that extra power for a less consistency. So you could end up getting bricked more often than playing Mebius Sikari, and you relied on those triples. So I wanted to find some balance of that. So I took the Tigas, a lot of strong power, took the Blazars, who I found have a lot of consistency, and put them together to create this deck. So what makes this deck strong? Here we have the Tiga package and the Blazar package. So starting with Blazar, Blazar has a really good scene card, the Man Who Created Scarred. It lets you mill 5 cards and level up for that turn any possible level ups from those cards you discarded. So that helps a lot of consistency. One trouble I've found with decks with two characters is that you either have a hard time building the triples of both characters, or you just never have all the right cards you need. So, in order to address that, I figured to use the Blazar scene. So that's the key thing putting this deck together. Now, for the Blazar Triple R, it's really great on play effect. It will decrease the opponent's BP by 3,000 and let you look at the top 3 cards and rearrange the order to put them back in your deck. That effect alone adds a lot of consistency to the otherwise consistency issue I had with Mebius Tiga decks. So, great AP for this idea of winning the game through both power and consistency. Some of the other things that make this deck strong are now like we said, the scene card, the Blazar, and the Tiga 18k. Definitely one of the strongest triple Rs in the game in the fact that when you play it as a triple, you can switch its lane, and that gives you one of really two abilities in the game to rearrange your lanes, fix poor matchups, and more or less guarantee a win in that lane. You can also use it to swap to the lead lane to get the lead, which very few decks have the ability to get 18k power in a turn 3 lead lane. And as we've discussed, that the scene is holding a lot of the deck together, being able to have strong options to take and keep lead, this Tiga card is very important there. So those are what makes this deck strong. Now, the weaknesses of this deck, however, it does rely on setting up a lot of the triples. The Blazar Triple R requires a triple to activate its effect. The Tiga Triple R, same thing, it needs to be a triple to activate its effects. So you do have to plan your turns out carefully such that you're being able to build up to triples, and then you can use a scene card to potentially level up a 1-2 lane you've already set up. That being said, both these cards, since they don't activate on a double, you have to be very conscious about when you're playing a 2 or a 2-3 in a new lane. Some other weaknesses, we do lack some strong Blazar double options. So you do have to plan out carefully when you play that double versus building towards a 1-2-3 Blazar. If you're not able to end up getting to that triple, a Blazar lane can become a vulnerability. And the last part, in terms of weakness, and you can think of it also as a pro, it's like a double-edged sword, is the scarred scene. There's been cases where I'm only one level up away from just winning a game, and you just hit all 1s and 2s. And even sometimes if all the odds are in your favor, you can still lose. So that's something to watch out for, not to get too reliant on hitting the scene effect, but to use that to help build up momentum and to avoid losing the lead when possible. So what does this mean? This is a great deck for applying pressure in contesting and fighting for scene, but this deck does need a lot of careful planning and game knowledge to be able to set up the right leads for a strong win and setting up those triples. So this is how we'll talk about the synergy of this deck, why the scene, the Blazar triple effects, and everything fit to this package for consistency. So we already talked about the Blazar triple R, very key card for guaranteeing you win that lane on play. Very few cards can help get a lane out of that minus 3000 against a 17k. Next we have the Blazar double R. So when you play this as a double, on play it gives the opponent minus 2000. That effect effectively makes this a 13k, which is going to contest most double lanes you'd see. Most 2-3 doubles are either 12, some are 13k. There are a few 14k ones, but the benefit of this is not only are you able to contest for a 1-2 lead, but you can also later upgrade this to a triple. So you have the best of both worlds from that point of view. Then we have our level 1 scene card or search cards. Pretty vanilla, standard. Every deck will want these. Now the Blazar other rare card. Now this one has a very interesting effect to be able to put a card back to the top of your deck and grab other cards from it, or draw at the end of the turn. There's a couple different places to use this. You could use this towards the end of the game when you have something you want to put at the top of the deck to ensure you hit the scene card. That situation can come up sometimes. Another nice one is if you play this turn 2 as the first card and you have one of these scene searching cards in your first lane as a level 2, you could actually, if you have a scene card in your hand, put it top of the deck, draw that, gets you a guaranteed hit, and then you'll draw another card at the end of the game, or end of the turn for this effect. Now, the other Blazar card I have here is the level 3 uncommon that increases itself when it's going against basic. So there's a couple extra slots here where you can add cards like this. Maybe you can move around some 1s or 2s to balance out the ratios how you like to play. This one can bump itself up to 13k as a single if you're going against basic types, which are fairly common. Or if you play it as a double, it becomes either 13 or 16k. It's not going to always win the lane, but it's a nice to have. So then the Tigas, we talked about the triple R, very important for getting the win there. You have your scene searches. Since this deck relies on scene, it's important to have your scene searching cards, and the Tigas for also drawing. Besides that, the other two cards I'll briefly talk about are the uncommon and the starter deck Tiga. These are both very handy for balancing out some of the weak points of this deck. 13k is a very solid number for a 2-3 triple, or sorry, 2-3 double, and it has the on-play minus 1000 to any opponent, which could make itself effectively a 14k for that turn, or help break any ties when you play this. It's also a great card to trigger off of the Scarred Scene, because you can use that minus 1000 to potentially flip a lane and win, and you can still later discard that to then use that triple lane for your triple R Tiga. Same thing for the starter deck Tiga. When you play it as a triple, you're guaranteed to win that lane, similar to the Blazar, by being able to discard a card to do a BP grade decrease. So how do you win with this deck? Pretty much our win condition is to have your Tiga swap into a lane you're guaranteed or very confident with winning. With that, then you have that one lane that you know that for example, if you're going against Mebius Hikari, Hikari doesn't have any 18k options. So you can flip it to Hikari, guarantee that win. Or most Mebius decks have a hard time to breaking 18k, so you can swap it to a Mebius deck, Mebius lane to force a win there. However, do keep in mind Mebius has ways to bump itself up to 18k. Same thing with Hikari, but if you're forcing your opponent's Mebius to use those activate effects, you're burning down through their cards, and you'll eventually outpace them. So you have one Tiga lane you're trying to win. Your second lane you'll want to win is with the Blazar on play. Pretty much when you play the Blazar, you should be guaranteeing you win that lane. If not, having a 17k triple is already a really strong number that maybe the 1000 from the Tiga uncommon can help you balance out and flip that tie and win that lane. Same thing for the Tiga triple. If you're able to get this Tiga triple, you're more or less good to go with that lane. So the goal is to have about 2 lanes from either Tiga or Blazar with a triple that you win. From there, you just need to rely on your doubles. Tiga has a lot of strong 2-3 doubles that both go to 18k, and if you're able to use the scene or the swaps to get that third lane win, that'll get you the game. Besides that, overall, fun deck to play. I do like to lean more on the Tigas than the Blazars. The Tiga has the stronger finishers, the strongest triple we want to build towards with the higher amount of 1s and 2s here. I do like to lean more towards one Ultra than another. I feel like it has better consistency with the gameplay. I'm usually building towards a Tiga in lane 1, and then Blazar as the lane 2 or 3 triple that I'll then end up swapping around. Besides that, a lot of fun to play. Hope you're able to make this deck work. If you aren't able to acquire the triple Rs here, there are a couple other budget options. You can always use the double R, Ultraman Blazar, a very similar effect as of doing a BP decrease as a triple on play. The negative is you don't get that additional consistency boost by revealing those 3 cards, but this was also available as a monthly promo, so there are more of these floating around and easier to get your hands on. Alternatively, if you have the starter deck Tigas, you can swap a couple of these for the triple Rs. You don't get the full power of this deck by being able to swap, but you still have some pretty respectable Tiga options. And besides that, I hope you enjoy this deck a lot and try it out. I think if you're excited about BP3 and thinking about a Nexus Blazar deck, which is very popular, this will help you get the cards you need, and you can also think about those shared ideas. Blazar is going to provide a lot of consistency to Nexus Blazar. It has very strong on plays, it has a strong scene card, and this will pair very nicely with the Nexus as you build it. Couple things you'll want to think about. Do you want a Nexus heavy deck, or will you shift the ratio to be Blazar heavy? Those are 2 things I think I'll explore when we have BP3 come out. Thanks everyone for listening. Let us know what your favorite decks are and what you're most looking forward to in BP3 and your favorite parts and decks you've tried in BP2. Thank you.